All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another conversational reading kind of a lesson. Obviously, we cannot have an interaction conversation, but we're doing the best we can with the technology available to us. All right. So let's open up again. We're going to go to that Ingu website again and read an article from there. So let's have a look here. Let's see, we can just take first one, yeah. Study night owls may burn less fat than early birds. All right. Maybe I need to change. All right, so as always, we're going to start off with the vocabulary first. We'll read it through again. After each word, you can pause, try and read it, listen to the pronunciation, try and repeat that. And if you're not sure about the word, like I said before, just type it in Google, for example, pattern and meaning, and they'll give you further explanations about the word. But these, I think, are not too difficult, but you never know, depending on your level. All right. So the first word we have is pattern, and that is the way that something repeatedly happens or is done. An example, my sleeping patterns have changed very much since I was a teenager. All right, the next word we have carbohydrate, and that is a type of high energy substance such as sugar or starch that is found in bread, pasta, potatoes, etc. You should cut down on carbohydrates if you want to lose weight. I need to cut down on carbs. Sometimes people also call them carbs. All right. Then we've got sample. So sample is a small part or amount of something taken in order to be studied. And researchers took blood samples from 38 volunteers. Then we've got
Accelerometer.
accelerometer. There we go. That's a long one. So a piece of electronic equipment that measures movement and position. And example, some smartwatches use accelerometers. Next one, associate, and that is to connect two things in one's mind to be connected with something. And an example, research has found that taking short breaks at work is associated with increased productivity. All right, so let's go right to our article. Again, I'm going to read it, but maybe after each paragraph, I don't know if you can call these paragraphs even, it's so short. After each little paragraph, you can just hit pause, read it after me, make sure, try and get the pronunciation correct, and then after that, we'll continue to our conversation questions. So we'll start off. If you like staying up late at night, you may want to think about going to bed a little earlier. According to a new study, night owls could be worse at burning fat and have a higher risk of getting diabetes. The study was done by researchers at Rutgers University in New Jersey and the University of Virginia. It was published in Experimental Physiology in September 2022. 51 overweight middle-aged participants answered questions about their sleep and activity patterns and were then divided into two groups, those who usually stay up late, or night owls, and those who usually wake up early, also known as early birds. The team tested how the participants' bodies used fat and carbohydrates by looking at breath samples taken both at rest and during 30 minutes of exercise. The participants were also given an accelerometer to wear for 7 days, which tracked how much they moved during the day. Fat and carbohydrates both provide energy for our muscles, and using fat for energy is associated with weight loss. Meanwhile, a reduced ability to use fat for energy has been associated with diabetes. The results showed that the study's early birds used more fat for energy, both while resting and while doing exercise. By comparison, the night owls were found to burn significantly less fat for energy and use slightly more carbohydrates than the early bird group. The early birds were also found to be more physically active than the night owls. However, the researchers say more research is needed to understand if there is also a benefit to exercising earlier in the day. All right. Yeah, so as you can see, sometimes, for example, where was it? Over here, we had breathe or breath. Sometimes, we can get confused. Depending on the context of the sentence, you might pronounce it slightly different. So, yeah, even us native speakers get tongue-tied sometimes. All right, well, let's go right on to our discussion questions. First one, again, for these, I'm going to read them. I'll answer them in the way that I would answer it. And then after, you can just hit pause and you can try and answer it yourself. Again, you have to say it out loud. Don't just think what I would say. You have to say it. You have to practice making the sounds. All right. So, number one, what are your thoughts on the findings of this study? Oof. I suppose, yeah, it's kind of interesting because I would have thought that it has more to do with at what time you eat and what kind of activities you do. Um, but I mean, a lot of times with these studies, there are so many things that affect the outcome of something, and they usually test for one thing, like, oh, night owl or early bird. But there's a lot of things that needs to be taken into account. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose there's some truth to it, but there's other factors to be considered probably as well. All right. Number two, are you an early bird or a night owl, and have you always been this way? Oof, man, I'm a night owl. I hate the mornings, the early mornings. Not that I hate it. I actually love the early mornings. I just have a very hard time waking up in the morning. So, yeah, definitely a night owl. I usually go to bed at around 1 a.m. Yeah, on average, but I don't have to wake up early for work because I work in the evenings online. So I usually get my 8 hours of sleep still. I wake up at around 9 o'clock every day. But I know I have a few friends that are early birds. My dad used to be one. He would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. No alarm, no nothing. He just wakes up and then yeah, he just goes on with his day. So if I was like that, that would be amazing. I think the mornings, there's something quite nice. It's like fresh, a new day. The mornings generally are very nice, but I just have a hard time with them. All right. Number three, do you find it surprising that early birds are more active than night owls? Uh, not, no, not really. People that I know that are early birds, they are very active people, and they're, it's like, let's get up, let's get going, let's go catch that worm, as they said. Early bird catches the worm. Um, so yeah, not that surprising. Okay. Number four, do you use a smartwatch or any other device to track your physical activity? Haha. I actually just got the Xiaomi smartwatch last week. Um, yeah. But again, I actually before this, I had a Garmin, the Garmin Phoenix something something, very, very nice Garmin watch that also tracked all of these activities and things. But I find with these watches, they give you a bunch of information, and then it's like, okay, now I have all this information. What do I do with it? So, um, yeah. But I must say, I also found that the more recent apps, for example, like the Xiaomi app, is quite useful in showing that you the information, and then you can make adjustments to your lifestyle according to the information. So I think if the app or the watch developers spend more time on the apps, because most people, they get this information, they're overloaded with information, and then what do you do? How do you apply it? So if they can do that, That'll be great. Okay. Number 5, do you prefer to, do you prefer to exercise in the morning, afternoon, or evening? I would have to say the afternoon. Yeah, because I work in the evenings and I'm not going to do the mornings, so the afternoon. If I didn't have to work in the evenings, previously when I was teaching at a school, I would teach during the daytime, obviously, and then I would go exercise in the evenings, and that was quite nice as well. Going straight from work before I go home, just going straight to the gym, and that was very nice. Um, but yeah, either afternoons or evenings for me, just because I'm already up, I'm already going, and it's easier to motivate yourself to go, especially if you're working. I say if you're working and you have to go out for your job, on the way back from home, it's the easiest. You're already out, you're already driving, just stop there, and that'll be quite nice. All right, on to further discussion. How often would you say you get a good night's sleep? I would say most nights. The older I the older I get, the more I realize that I need to get a good rest. Yeah. Uh, when I was younger, I could go out in the evenings and come back, get very little sleep. Next day, just get on with it again. But now, if I get less than 6 hours of sleep, it just feels like I'm hung over the whole day, even if I don't drink anything. So I make sure that I get 8 hours of sleep. How much sleep do you need in order to feel rested? Yeah, like I just said, 8 hours is good. 7 hours, I'm still fine. Up to 6 hours, I'm okay. Less than 6 hours, I'm gonna fall asleep halfway through the day for sure. All right. Do you know anyone who starts the day before 6 a.m.? Before 6 a.m. I would, I'm not sure. I'm sure there are a lot of my friends who wake up that early. I think my sisters sometimes, my stepfather, um, yeah, he's a farmer, so he has to get up early. He gets up at like 5 or something to go. They have to go milk cows and stuff like that. So he gets up early every day. Next one. What do you usually do when you're having trouble falling asleep? I don't have. Okay, some very, very seldom. Um, I would just lie in bed until I fall asleep then. Sometimes if I get really annoyed, I take out my phone and I'll watch a movie or something until I get try and find a movie that's a little bit boring, something that's not going to excite me that much, but that I'm still kind of interested in. Um, and then I'll start like, your eyes kind of pull over each other, and then you can just switch it off in sleep. But most of the time, I don't have trouble sleeping. Number 5, do you think you'd find it harder to change your sleep diet or exercise habits? Uh, I would say my diet. I enjoy eating nice food, so I would rather exercise harder and keep eating what I'm eating. Um, and sleep, I could probably change my sleeping routine as long as I don't have to wake up early. But I don't want to change my sleeping patterns, my sleeping habits. So yeah, oof. I'd still say diet though, because I really enjoy eating nice food. So that's what I'm sticking with. All right. And again, that is all of it. And like I mentioned previously, you can come to this Ingu website. They have a lot of lessons. You can, let me just stop this. Yeah, you can go through the material yourself, practice reading it yourself, and they also have one-on-one lessons. So if you want to join there, you can go and they have one-on-one lessons so you can actually have a conversation with somebody. But if you cannot, then this is a good alternative. So, keep trying, keep doing this, keep working at it. And like they say, learning a language is a marathon. It's something that takes a long time. It's not a sprint. Don't try and do it and after 2 weeks, like, oh, I'm not getting it. It just keep doing it, keep working at it, and you'll get there. All right, so that's it for today. Have a good evening or day or whatever time it may be there, and see you guys next time. All right. Bye bye.